Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Can we talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I mean, it's something I feel like we've talked about a lot already, or at least something my co-host here has talked about a lot, given... you've seen the entire TV series, correct, Kristen?
Yep, all of it, and then some. As in, rewatched a lot, too.
Well, there we go. But this movie is something you have had yet to experience before this podcast.
Yeah, I had heard slightly disparaging things about it on the internet, so I was never too interested, and then I figured this was my chance to finally get you to confront something I love. Gateway drug.
Even though it's got what I assume is a completely different tone compared to the TV series.
It's definitely goofier.
Well, I like Goofy, you know me.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so I have not seen any Buffy, so this was my first experience with it. So that's what we're going with here. So I am the movie of the TV series. My name is Joe.
I'm the Slayer. I'm Kristen.
Ooh, and yes, indeed, we are watching the film version of the popular TV series that actually predates the series by 5 years or so. I mean, it's not like a Firefly to Serenity kind of thing. It's backwards. Joss Whedon did it both ways.
Oh, yeah. I
also had to dig pretty deep, actually, because I assumed that Joss Whedon would be the director of this movie, but he was not. He is only the writer, and that's, I think, the reason that it was different compared to what Joss Whedon had written, and I think Joss Whedon himself doesn't really like the movie that much. That might be part of why it seems like most Buffy fans don't like it.
Yeah, he seems pretty adamant that his original script had been taken and moved in a much different direction to be kind of more mainstream comedy-ish. I mean, it's just definitely more of a 90s teen comedy sort of tone than, like, strictly Whedon comedy, which it has its very own flavor.
Well, Kristen, actually, as it turns out, I saw that there was a comic published of what Joss Whedon's original take on the script was here, called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Origin, or The Origins, or Origins, something Origins like that, which includes basically what his treatment of the script was, including burning down the school dance at the end.
Yeah, I actually assumed that was part of the movie, but I guess you need a happy ending for all the chaos and carnage going on, but the movie is still considered a, like, pretty much mostly canon prequel to the television series.
Which, I want to talk about something really quick, Kristen, because I read something else, too. The TV series, Buffy's a sophomore, isn't she?
Yep, so they retconned the shit out of that. She has 3 years in high school for the first 3 seasons.
Right, because she is a senior in this movie, so kind of, yeah, I guess they pick and choose what they need from this movie, I guess.
Mm-hmm, and, like, her parents are completely different. Her mom is much nicer. Her parents get divorced by the time she moves to Sunnydale, and she had been expelled from her old school from burning the gym down while fighting vampires.
Oh, so there we go. Okay, I understand. I get you. Kristen, why don't we talk a little bit more about Joss Whedon, because he is the writer of this movie, but he's probably, I don't want to say he's the most important person attached. I mean, he maybe, I don't know how important Luke Perry is anymore, so...
Enough that it took me a while to kind of figure out, like, why do I know this guy? Well, hey, Joe.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Have you heard of Joss Whedon?
In fact, I have, Kristen. I believe he wrote... Did he direct The Avengers? I think he wrote it, at least.
Write and direct The Avengers, yep.
Wow, there we go. So I have heard of Joss Whedon, yes.
What else do you know that he's worked on?
Did he do Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along blog? Is that him too, I think?
Yes, he did. He co-wrote the original Toy Story.
Oh, neat. Yeah, I'm like working backwards here in terms of Joss Whedon, because what he did, Dollhouse, I think, was one of them, and Firefly, and Buffy.
And you missed the Cabin in the Woods was in there too.
Right.
And not only Buffy, but the television series Angel.
Of course, Kristen.
So the director of the movie is Fran Rubel-Kuzui, and she, her only other real credits are that she was also a producer on Angel, the television series, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I wonder how she got the directing job then and ended up... Maybe because she was the director of the movie, she ended up as a producer. I don't know how these things work in Hollywood, so who knows.
Yeah, that just somehow became her entire legacy.
How about Buffy herself? Because that's the other thing. For some reason, up until like 2 days before we watched this, I was like, it's probably Sarah Michelle Gellar, even though, like, I don't know why it would be, but it's not.
Nah, it's Christy Swanson.
Which is a name that I'm not terribly familiar with, although looking on her IMDb, I remember seeing that she was the female love interest in Big Daddy.
Wow, really?
Yeah, other than that, I feel like there's something else important that she did, but I don't remember it.
Well, she was also in Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Wes Craven's Deadly Fiend, and V.C. Andrews' Flowers in the Attic.
Oh, no! If you don't know about Flowers in the Attic, I'm not going to tell you about it, audience.
Read the Wikipedia page.
And what about Luke Perry? Was this before... Was Luke Perry on 90210? Is that what he's famous for? And was this before that?
Man, I didn't do a profile on Luke Perry. Luke Perry was in The Fifth Element.
Really?
Yeah, there's that. I didn't know about that. But yes, he was also in Beverly Hills 90210.
And when did that start, 90210?
1990.
Oh, so wow, okay. So this is his major film vehicle after being Pretty Boy. Instead of being pretty, I'm assuming he was the pretty boy in 90210. I don't know anything about Beverly Hills 90210, so he plays sort of the burnout kind of guy in this movie, I guess, playing against type.
Yeah, he was also on 90210 for 200 episodes, so damn.
Well, I didn't know 902 was going on that long, but whatever, okay. So then we got our mentor guy, Kristen. As you said, you did a profile on him. Donald Sutherland, Kiefer Sutherland's father, which is all I know him from.
Yeah, I was on his Wikipedia page, and as I was reading down and saw, is the father of Kiefer Sutherland, I went, ah! Oh, that makes sense. Donald Sutherland has been in a bunch of films, including MASH, Animal House, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, JFK, and Pride and Prejudice. He was also President Snow in The Hunger Games, which I like a lot.
Oh, making its appearance again in the podcast. Maybe eventually we'll get to the Hunger Games movies.
Yeah, we're gonna. And according to Wikipedia, he established himself as one of the most respected, prolific, and versatile character actors of Canada.
Wow, good job, Canada. Clap, clap.
Yeah, Canada.
Normally, again, at this point, we would play a song that is relevant through the movie, but again, we didn't really get anything like that, so at Kristen's request, we are going to be playing the theme song from the TV series, because apparently it's famous.
So everybody rock out!
So we start, Kristen, we are back to logos because we aren't doing Japanese movies.
Awesome.
We start on the 20th Century Fox logo, and my comment is, it's weird to think they were still using this one in 1992 and not the 3D one that I'm more familiar with, even though, again, 1992, Jurassic Park comes out next year, so not much CG in Hollywood right now.
Would you believe I wasn't paying attention to the logo, Joe?
We start off with some exposition about vampires in a voiceover. It's the dichotomy of there's the Slayer, and there's always one, and they gotta fight the vampires. Yeah,
and first thing I saw with this is, oh, that is actually the exact same way that the Slayer mythos carries over into the TV show.
Well, there we go. Wonderful. It starts in the Dark Ages of Europe. She bears the mark of the Coven, the Slayer does, and trained by the Watcher, and we see Donald Sutherland wearing a headdress, and what I assume is past Buffy except with brown hair, because I didn't really... It took me a very long time, Kristen, to realize which character Buffy was, mostly because I was assuming that it was going to be Sarah Michelle Gellar, and none of the four girls that we see for the first 10 minutes of the movie are her, so I'm like, which one?
Okay, you know what, that actually makes a little bit of sense, because they start and transfer into from the past Slayer from the Dark Ages holding a stake, and then it's a pom-pom, and it's a cheerleader dance, and it's like the blonde girl that they are shooting, and to me, I look at that and go, how does Joe not realize that's Buffy? But it's also clearly not Sarah Michelle Gellar, so I guess there we go.
I mean, that's was it weird that I thought that the thing with Buffy was she wouldn't be head cheerleader popular lady, which may have been just a script change thing. I don't know, but I'm looking at this woman, like, this woman's too popular to be Buffy.
Nah, that's the exact point. Buffy was supposed to be, like, a teen movie vapid girl who would be the type of girl who was the first to get killed in a horror movie, but it turns out she's actually a vampire slayer. It's probably also worth pointing out the reason that they changed from Kristy Swanson to Sarah Michelle Gellar is that Kristy Swanson was born in 1969.
Holy shit! And she's playing somebody who's 18 years old.
Yeah, so she's only a couple years older than our mom.
Huh. Well, there we go. I can kind of see why they changed it to, especially when you're starting out as a sophomore in the TV series.
Yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar definitely played a very convincing teenager.
Oh, we also missed the fact that, yeah, once a Slayer dies, another takes its place. How does that work, Kristen, does somebody just immediately like, oh, I got a stupid mole on me, or is it just a Slayer born at that point, like the exact moment another dies?
Yeah, the idea is that once a Slayer dies, a living girl, her powers will kind of just flip a switch, turn on.
I see. All right, very good. But yes, it's shown in this movie as it's a mole on your like shouldery area, I think, right?
Yeah, and
like around there.
That's not a thing that they continue with. The Mark of the Coven.
Yes, that may have again been. Oh, they just don't do that in this TV series.
Nah, it could just be any girl.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, sounds good. So we get the title in a rough font. It is in bright ass pink. This movie, Kristen, I think other than you going, this isn't like the TV series, I'm gonna assume that you went 90s.
Yeah, and I loved it.
This is the early 90s in full force fucking bright-ass neon. I don't know if I love it or hate it, but we get some more credits in the credits here in the opening credits. Paul Rubens, I was like, oh shit, he's in this movie? We seem to have differing opinions about his role, but...
Yeah, I think he should have been edited out.
We've also got Rutger Hauer, who I wrote as Rutger Tears in the Rain Scoob Hauer as the main bad guy.
And Madeline and I watched this together, and as we were looking at the character that Rutger Hauer plays, she was like, why does he look so familiar? And then went on to IMDb and went, Roy Batty!
Yes, indeed. This is Roy from Blade Runner, so he's making another appearance. I don't know how I feel about his character either, but I guess we'll get to that.
Yeah, he was... We'll talk about it later.
And as well, we have former WCW heavyweight champion David Arquette in this movie. What the fuck?
Great. I think at some point I said, who wasn't in this movie exactly?
Because we even get a short 3-second shot of Ben Affleck later.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I'll point it out when it comes up, but Ben Affleck has one line in this movie.
Awesome.
So yeah, they're cheerleading at a basketball game. We got a pig man dancing, but as it turns out, they're the Hogs, so calling this man a pig man was uncalled for, and I'm sorry.
Awful. It's probably good to point out, by pig man dancing, you mean a man in a pig costume and not something like horrific.
Hey, this is a horror comedy, Kristen. It could be It could be Invader Zim.
It's a machine for pigs.
We get the coach psyching up the basketball team. He seems like a guidance counselor, I guess, because he says things like, I am a person and I have a right to the ball. That's our team phrase. Everybody go in on it and go out there on the court and say, I am a person and I have a right to the ball.
It's a pretty standard thing later in the TV series as well, that not only adults, but the school staff in particular are just useless adults.
Entirely incompetent, in classic television fashion.
Yep.
I wrote, it really is the 90s in this place, goddamn. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but it's really the 90s in this movie. You'll have to believe me.
You get some good crowd shots of clothing, so I think that might have been part of it.
That's very true. So we cut to, everybody's at the mall now, and we get the graphic of Southern California, the Light Ages, spelled Lite for some reason, and it's also in a terrible font, and I hate it.
Yep, but a good gag.
Is it a good gag? That seems like the kind of gag that is put in that definitely would not have been in the original script. I don't know. That seems like I don't know. I don't like that one very much.
It made me laugh.
We get who I wrote as Girl. I'm pretty sure it was Buffy at this point, who was complaining about getting a C+ on her history test, and that her teacher has no right to criticize her knowledge of history because he wears a brown tie. And boy, is there a lot of denim in this movie too, Kristen.
Let's go to the mall.
3 of the 4 girls are all wearing denim jackets.
Man, the 90s was a different time. Literally and spiritually.
And we also get a lot of do we want to classify this as Valley Girl? Is Valley Girl late 80s? Is this a weird like flux between Valley Girl and like, we see Buffy adopts kind of like a grungy look later. Is this kind of like that weird...
I think it's more just kind of like fluffy California girl.
Maybe, yeah, because we get... Hilary Swank is in this movie, too. I'm not sure which girl she is, because I don't know what Hilary Swank looks like, I'll be honest.
I think she plays the one friend with the longer, straighter hair.
Is she the one who kind of looks like Kimberly from Power Rangers?
I think so, yes, because there's another friend who has like slightly puffy big hair, and a girl that has like a bob of straight hair.
Right, okay. So, okay, I think you're right that's Hilary Swank. But yeah, she says a lot of Valley Girl-isms or whatever. Early jargon. Yeah, because she says, what's the sitch? As they're going over and looking at some jackets or whatever. Like, what they want to do with the mall, essentially.
Uh-huh. I mean, shopping, obviously.
They see this lovely yellow leather jacket, which actually isn't that bad. Bright-ass yellow leather jacket. I can get behind that, actually. And Buffy wants it, and Hilary Swank is like, oh, that's fucking... No. That's not in style anymore. Sorry.
That's so 5 minutes ago.
So 5 minutes ago. There we go, again. And so they decide they're basically going to go see a movie. And there's so many theaters around in Southern California, but it's like, oh my god, they show previews of porn at this one, oh my god, the popcorn's terrible at this other one, and the ushers, let me tell you, acne patrol.
That sounds like something positive.
People who are out to fight acne.
Yeah, why not?
No, I guess not. It's, I guess, people patrolling with acne.
Mm-hmm. And as they're getting into an elevator, the door starts to close, and then lo and behold, Donald Sutherland comes and shows up in a hat and a big trench coat, and suddenly this is Silent Hill 3.
I've never played Silent Hill 3.
It starts in a mall, and Heather gets followed by a man in a hat and a trench coat.
Well, there we go. Perfect. He and Buffy exchange glances, and Buffy's just kind of like kind of making that kind of face at him, if you can...
I believe she says, rude much?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Donald Sutherland did the unforgivable sin of trying to get in an elevator as the door is closing.
It was full.
4 people, totally full.
It was full.
We cut to the girls. They are in a theater at this point. They are being loud, and so are the dudes behind them, who I didn't realize Luke Perry is one of the dudes. I was too busy looking at David Arquette, because he's being a loud asshole, which is so very David Arquette.
This was a weird introduction of 2 important side characters.
Yeah, it seemed really... Like, I assumed that David Arquette wasn't going to play a very big role in this movie, and he's... I mean, not the biggest, but he's the 3rd most important vampire, maybe?
Yeah, very weird.
And they're talking really loud. Luke Perry's kicking the seats, being like, shut up, we're watching a movie.
They don't give a shit.
And they don't give a shit.
They're teen girls.
Yeah. And that's basically that. The entire scene is just them setting up the fact that Buffy's going to have her boyfriend over because her parents are always out of town. And I think that's it, right? That's basically all they talk about.
Yep. And then I guess the movie's over?
Oh, you mean not Buffy the movie, you mean the movie that they're watching in the theater.
Yes, that other thing. I'm not trying to get, like, super meta here.
No, sorry, I know you like to make that joke a lot of, and then the movie's over.
Yeah! The boyfriend comes over, and that's it. That's weird, I thought there were gonna be vampires in this movie.
So we cut to outside the mall, some dudes are pulling up, it's boyfriend, dead guy who's gonna be dead in a minute, and some other guy. And they're all here to party, because it's a basketball, yeah! Love to play the basketball.
Woo!
Buffy goes and, like, jumps in the car and kisses boyfriend on the mouth. And, friend in the car says something like, I don't want to be sexist, but, can I borrow her?
No. That's not how girls work!
Luke Perry's here and he almost says something, but then he doesn't and he walks away.
For the first part of the movie, he's, like, such a rando, just kind of inserting his opinion into things.
I find it odd how gung-ho Luke Perry gets about everything, but I mean, we'll get to that.
It's definitely goes against the spirit of the TV show a little bit more, where it's like, yeah, Buffy's friends help her, but she's the only one with super strength. Like, it's not easy for her normie friends to fight vampires, too.
No, I can imagine. And Luke Perry gets 1 or 2 in his body count, which, I mean, whatever, but again, we'll get to that.
My parents were vampire slayers.
The other basketball player who was in the car, he heads off. He goes to, I guess, a carousel area, and there's a man laughing, and he's like, the guy who's ever behind me, you better go! But it turns out it's Pee-wee. There he is. Old Paul Rubens.
This really is Silent Hill 3.
Old Paul Rubens. On the carousel, looking, he's got big old frizzy hair, and it took me a second. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Paul Rubens, so I'm just going to make sure that I write that that's Pee-wee. And I refer to him, I don't remember his name, Kristen.
Me neither.
I refer to him as Pee-wee through all of my notes, which I feel like I owe Paul Rubens more than that. I know he masturbated in a theater. He should be more than Pee-wee.
I have very little opinion on him in general.
I like Pee-wee. Pee-wee's okay. I like Pee-wee's Big Adventure a lot, actually. It's a good movie.
I have not seen it.
Oh, well, there we go. Maybe that eventually, too. One of 2 Tim Burton movies I like. Now that's open an entirely different can of worms.
Yeah, every time we talk about Tim Burton, we end up needing to stop ourselves from saying something.
So we cut to a news report the next day. Basketballman died of what a witness described as a really gross-looking hickey. Ugh.
That's one of the things that is a really funny recurring theme in the TV show, is basically, like, everyone in Sunnydale is just purposefully ignorant of everything that's going on because they don't want to believe it. I think one of the episodes they mentioned that somebody literally saw a vampire right in front of them and later was like, I saw a really weird bear!
I mean, we get to that at the end, too, where Buffy's like, haven't you, or, Luke Perry or somebody's like, haven't you noticed what's going on? Oh my god, there's vampires fucking everywhere!
And everyone's like, no, are you sure?
We kind of got to plan the dance, so let's do that.
I mean, we have important things to think about. Please.
High school. This is where I wrote in my notes that I'm not sure who Buffy is yet, but here is where we see her alone from all of her friends for the first time in the movie, so it's basically confirmed. And her brother is, like, the one watching the TV, but we don't know much about her brother, do we? Or no, is it her brother?
No, that's her boyfriend.
That's her boyfriend. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, this is where Buffy's mother calls him Bobby. So I don't know what the boyfriend's name is, because her mother calls him Bobby, but his name isn't Bobby.
Not Bobby.
Not Bobby. Yeah, I wrote in my notes, not Bobby.
They kiss at the end of the scene after both eating popcorn, which is gross because they probably both have popcorn backwash.
Oh, God. No, don't tell me that, Kristen. Jesus.
I'm sorry. It grossed me out.
But yeah, they're kissing on each other, and that's the end of that scene, basically, so...
Definitely not her brother.
Thank God.
This isn't Flowers in the Attic.
Whoa! Bringing that back around. We get a medieval scene of a vampire. A woman jumps out a window, stakes him dead, and this is a slayer of the past. She is getting overpowered by vampires, and we see that Buffy is having dreams. She's having dreams of being a vampire slayer of the past.
I feel like there isn't a single time in this movie that they ever discuss thrall.
Thrall?
Like vampire thrall, as in the reason why Buffy, or the Slayer, suddenly stops attacking the Roy Batty vampire.
Oh, no, they don't, I don't think they mention that at all. She just kind of stops.
Yeah, so, thrall is a thing that is a vampire thing sometimes, where it's basically mind control.
They mystifies you.
Yeah.
So we cut back to Pee-wee. He is in Vampire Home, talking to the Master. Pee-wee playing the part of Torgo in this movie.
The Master.
I don't think I'm going to be doing any sort of Pee-wee Torgo impersonation combination, thank God. But
oh yeah, I would drive home right now. I would steal a car, drive home, and punch you in the head.
So yeah, not going to be doing any of that. Does he kiss Roy Batty's hand at this point? Is that what happened? Like, the hand comes out of the coffin, and does he grab it, or does he, fist bump it, give it a thumbs up? I don't remember what he does.
He does a thumb war.
Wonderful. Back at school,
wiggity.
They got to come up with a theme back at school now for the dance, and it's got to be something environmentally or socially conscious, so let's go with the environment. I think that's a pretty good choice. Yeah. What are some immediate threats to the environment?
Litter?
The ozone layer? We got to get rid of that.
Yeah, that's terrible. Bugs.
Bugs, an immediate threat to the planet.
Which I agree with.
Hey, I understand the importance of bugs, but yeah, no thank you. Goodbye.
I would rather take that risk that all the ecosystems would collapse if we could just get rid of them.
So they make a date to meet at Cafe Blasé to talk about this, I guess, which is a terrible name for a cafe.
I like it.
Or is it one of those, weird early 90s ironic things where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to go meet at Cafe Blasé. It's so not cool.
It's so blasé. And it's weird because I know they only do it for this scene, but there is a carryover in the series. They have a place that they all go hang out, which is either a bar that teenagers are allowed into, or a place that when they were younger was just a coffee place that bands played at, and then started serving alcohol once they were old enough to start drinking. And that was called The Bronze.
That's pretty nice.
And they would have indie bands from the 90s play so that their music would get into the episodes.
Nice. Yeah, the Cafe Blasé looks, they call it a cafe, but it looks like it's a bar. Not like it has a kind of a smoky atmosphere to it or anything, but it looks like it's a bar. It has a bar, but yeah. A physical bar.
But also waitresses.
Yeah, and waitresses. They also sell hot dogs there, so I don't know what that's about.
Who knows?
So they all head to Cafe Blasé. or at least Buffy and the friend with the bob are there, and they're talking about not wanting to invite certain seniors, but you have to because it's senior prom. Even though it's not?
It's called, like, the senior dance or something, so I'm assuming it's, like, the first dance of the year.
Right, because they mentioned later that they have this dance, the semi-formal, the fully formal, and the prom.
Yeah, so maybe it's like homecoming or something.
I thought homecoming was later in the year, wasn't it? No, it's during the football season, so I don't know. I don't know, Kristen.
We never went to any dances, Joe.
No, we didn't. So Hilary Swank arrives at this point, and she's wearing the yellow jacket that Buffy was ogling earlier, and Buffy's like, I thought that look was so 5 minutes ago.
And she goes, enter around.
Exactly in that voice, too.
Yeah, my sinuses being really messed up right now is helping my impressions.
End up sounding like Fran Drescher. That's just pizzazz.
No, I would have screamed it if I was pizzazz.
David Arquette and Luke Perry are at the cafe now, too, and they are thrashed, according to Buffy and her friends.
I think that means drunk.
I mean, Luke Perry drinks out of a flask every so often in this movie, so I guess so, yeah.
They're alcoholic young adults, I guess.
Yeah, hey, high school, woo!
Woo!
I was doing the hang loose gesture with my hand, but you obviously can't see that.
No, I can't.
Luke Perry's character's name is Pike, but I called him Luke Perry throughout all of my notes.
Yep, because Pike is a dumb name. It's a fish.
Oh, hey, well, nice one, Buffy. I don't know, I don't know why he's called Pike. They don't really expound upon that, but he just is. He's just, that's how you know he's important, I guess.
Yep. My parents gave me a dumb name so I could be a main character.
And David Arquette is Benny, who we don't really know much more about Benny.
What in the goddamn?
Matthew Perry. Showing up
here he is.
On this podcast. Chandler Bing, everybody.
Matthew Perry and his brother Luke Perry.
And this is where, yes, Buffy makes the Pike isn't a name, it's a fish gag, and then David Arquette takes the hot dog that they bought and makes it look like it's his dick.
And he's like, put it in your mouth! And she takes a knife and she slices it.
For some reason, we are spared the shot of Buffy cutting the hot dog down the middle, because it's just, we see her grab the knife, and then we see a reaction of her friends, and then we see David Arquette holding it going, oh man, she trashed my dog!
I'm pretty sure it's because there's no possible way for them to make that look good.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
And I'm not saying that the way that they executed it and left it in the movie looked good either, but...
No, they probably could have just cut it.
Yep.
Or they could have had David Arquette do something else stupid, but then again, yeah, whatever.
I was hoping she would just chop it off.
I mean, that always helps too. Like, why did she have to cut it down middle ways? I mean, maybe because it makes a better visual gag. I don't know. She could have done it.
Like, they could have shown her making a downward chopping motion where you don't even have to see the hot dog, and then shown that she cut his hot dog dick off.
I don't know. We're spending too much time on a terrible joke.
On this dick gag.
It is now. They are outside. Pike and Benny are walking at night. Benny's just being David Arquette over and over. He's just being like, man, girls, man, girls, man.
Are you choking? Are you okay? That was too good of an impression.
But apparently, all David Arquette wants to do is bang one of them. Although, even though he does say, hey man, one more shot of this and I'll want to bang you, to Luke Perry.
And it's funny because before he even said that, I was like, these two boys are in love.
So there we go. Confirmed.
And unfortunately, Pee-wee is floating behind them.
Yeah, we see that they sit on like a wall thing with, you know, a pretty big drop behind it. So when Pee-wee shows up, because at some point Luke Perry falls over, and then Pee-wee shows up and bites David Arquette and drags him from the wall. So I guess we know that, oh man, vampires can float.
Gravity spares Luke Perry's life. Yeah, also vampires can't float in the TV series, which I think is for the best.
I mean, it looks okay when they do it here, I guess. It's not the best, but it looks okay.
Yeah, it's a weird power to ascribe to a vampire, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Donald Sutherland arrives at this point to see David Arquette die, basically, so he's just like, well, better take Luke Perry with me.
Need to save the surviving drunk boy.
That's basically the end of that scene.
Yep, so David Arquette's a vampire.
And we cut to Buffy's teaching the other cheerleaders something, and it's some kind of, is this a shake your caboose
It's
thing?
a cheer.
Some kind of cheer. Some cheer. Teaching the cheerleaders how to cheer.
Doing the thing that cheerleaders do. Come on, Joe. It's not that difficult.
The curly hair one says they should make a sign for the dance with the earth on it, and it says, don't tread on me. And it's like, oh, but wait a minute. We're always treading on the earth. How can you not tread on the earth, you fucking dumb shit?
And she's like, you're right.
It's deep. The others leave, and then Buffy does some gymnastics. And every time Buffy does gymnastics in this movie, I am reminded of Kimberly from Power Rangers. Again.
Lots of flips.
Lots of flips, lots of that, yeah. Donald Sutherland is here too, and he's just hanging out being a trench coat man, standing in the back of the gym, and Buffy's just like, what the fuck are you doing here?
I'm gonna throw something out here.
Go ahead.
Donald Sutherland could have done a much better job of bridging the Slayer topic with Buffy.
Apparently, from the IMDb trivia, Donald Sutherland rewrote a lot of his own dialogue and was a general pain in the ass to work with, and he made a lot of the scenes shitty, so maybe the way that it was presented, maybe Merrick was a lot better at kind of giving the Slayer talk to Buffy, because as it stands, it's just like, you're the chosen one, come with me to the graveyard.
Less cryptic and unreasonable.
Pretty much, yeah. He's been looking for her, he says, and she's just like, he says, I gotta give you your birthright, and she's like, and it's like, come with me to the graveyard, and she's like,
Yeah, she does ask him if by her birthright he means like a trust fund or something.
Very good, bravo. His name is Merrick, as I said, Donald Sutherland. I switch between Donald Sutherland and Merrick in my notes, mostly because writing the full names of actors takes a long time, and writing their character names. Like, I wrote Luke Perry almost every time. Pike is 4 letters. That's way easier to type.
We're quick at typing, Joe. There's no excuse.
That's true. You're right. So, yeah, Buffy's been chosen. Wants her to go to the graveyard because she's the chosen one. And there are vampires. She does the whole thing of just like, so you're telling me you want me to go to the graveyard because I'm the chosen one, and there are vampires in the world. And Donald Sutherland's like, yeah. What's the problem with that?
He kind of smiles a little bit, and he's like, she gets it.
Buffy bears the mark of the coven, which is how he knows that it's her. Although Buffy had the ugly, terrible coven mole removed because it was an ugly, hairy mole. So
she rightfully starts to say, like, hey, stay away from me. I'm gonna leave now. Bye, Grandpa. And he starts to ask her about she's ever had dreams about being different people.
And she has, as it turns out. She's often fighting a man in her dreams, and he's so very strong.
And he begins to go into specifics of different people that she's been, because the Slayer has been lots and lots of people, and she is like, I never told anyone that, so you're getting a little bit of credibility suddenly, my dude.
Yeah, and that's enough for her to be like, you know what, let's go to the graveyard, I guess.
Yep, worth pointing out, prophetic dreams is something that carries over into the TV series.
Very good. Is it prophetic if she's dreaming of past lives?
Well, I guess it's supposed to be a thing where her dreams tell her things that she needs to know.
Okay. All right. No, okay, that's fine then. That counts as prophetic.
Because at some point in the television series, she does dream about the very first Slayer.
Who was the very first Slayer, Kristen? Joan of Arc?
No, but I feel like there was definitely a joke about Joan of Arc being a vampire slayer at some point.
Or maybe a vampire herself, given that she was burned at the stake.
Probably not, though.
So yeah, they head off to the graveyard at this point. He shows off the graves of some dead, Merrick does. He's just like, here's somebody who died a few days ago. Here's a crucifix and a stake, because he gonna be coming up, and we gotta hit him in the heart with the stake.
Yep, and they just kind of sit down, and we're like, I guess we're gonna wait.
And she goes, do you have any gum?
And she looks a little bit exasperated, and does not have gum, and I was really bummed out at that, because I was kind of hoping he would sigh, reach into his coat, and have some gum.
Some nice winter fresh for everybody.
Yeah, here we go, I guess.
So, we didn't mention earlier, Buffy had said that she borrowed the yellow leather jacket from Hilary Swank, and then she lent it to somebody else whom we see at this point. This isn't anybody important, I don't think. It's just another girl who dies, or who ends up becoming a vampire.
Yeah, it doesn't knock anyone out of the main group of 3 friends that Buffy has, so it's not anyone, like, super important.
Yeah, because she hears the laughing of Pee-wee, so we can assume that she runs across him and then dies, because we do hear that she dies later, so R.I.P. that lady, because now we gotta get back to fighting some vampires.
Well, we do see a scene of her kind of laying around the weird vampire cathedral thing that they have going on.
Oh, you're right, I forgot about that, but yeah, so she's there in a little bit, so we'll see her again, I guess, then, without the yellow leather jacket, so we don't have anything to signify her, so she's just there she is.
Why are you showing us this lady? She doesn't have a jacket on, so I don't know who she is.
She may as well be invisible.
Yep.
So the dude rises from his grave, and him and Donnie, I don't know why I didn't feel like writing Donald Sutherland, I didn't feel like writing Merrick, I just wrote Donnie. So he and Donnie start to tussle.
I don't know why, but for some reason I didn't put together that you meant Donald Sutherland, and I was like, did Joe write Buffy really badly?
Another vampire comes out of the grave that Buffy is in and restrains her legs, but after a short fight on both ends, both of them get a fucking stake through their heart for their troubles.
So, vampires slayed.
Vampires pretty easy to slay, actually. I mean, I know that it's stake through the heart, but it's like, it seems a lot of the vampires go down pretty easily in this movie.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't get, like, a sense of actually, like, ooh, they're dead now with any of them, because in the TV series, instead of you stake a vampire and their body hangs out because they're dead now, they turn to dust in the TV series, so it's really definitive when a vampire gets killed.
I was gonna say, that seems like something that would happen, is they would turn to dust or something, but that is not the case. Here, they just kind of hang out, which, yeah, makes it weird for them to make me believe that they're dead, especially with Pee-wee later. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's I wish they had spent more on the special effects just so we didn't have to deal with that scene later.
So we cut to Luke Perry's house. He's woken up by a vampire, David Arquette, who's standing outside of his window, and he's like, "Come on, man, let me in." And Luke Perry's like, "I gotta open the window here, give me a second." And it's like, "Come on, I'm hungry, let me in." And Luke Perry's like, "Man, you're floating, what are you doing, man? Get out of here."
Yeah, we get a view of the outside of the apartment or whatever, and he is floating very high up. And suddenly Luke Perry's like, please leave.
Goodbye, David Arquette, go star and Ready to Rumble, goodbye. Or what is David Arquette even famous for?
I don't know.
Courtney Cox Arquette for marrying Courtney Cox, maybe?
Sure.
Back to Donnie in my notes. Back to Donald Sutherland. He says that Buffy needs to play it cool, that she can't let anybody else know what's going on. You gotta, don't let it, because as soon as they know you're the Slayer, they're gonna start coming after you, and we can't have that yet. You gotta be ready. Also, you need to skip cheerleading practice. And Buffy just kind of like nods at that, and you could tell, like, is she actually gonna skip cheerleading practice?
Nah.
Merrick also confirms that a vampire needs to be invited in somewhere as, I guess as a means to explain the scene that we had previously where David Arquette was just like, "I want to come in!" And Luke Perry's like, "I don't think so."
Yep, he specifically, at some point, I believe, does say, "invite me in." That carries over to the TV show, too. So, if you want to keep a vampire out, just kind of stay in your house and then make faces at them, throw up the middle finger.
I don't know, I mean, it must have been just to explain that previous scene, because Buffy just kind of out of nowhere goes like, "I heard vampires can't go in unless invited to place where the person is." I
guess she also just kind of thinks that, like, she's comforted knowing that they won't just bust into her house at any point.
No, that's true. Actually, you're right there. Okay, that's fine. I can deal with that. Buffy gets home and is stopped by her mom, and I don't quite understand this joke, because the mom comes and it's just like, "Do you know how late it is?" And Buffy's like, 10? And the mom's like, "Oh, my damn watch." And I'm not sure if the mom is dumb or if the watch is actually bad.
Yeah, I think it is a scene showing that Buffy's mom is, like, flighty and does not give a shit about anything that's happening, because she then, turns and goes, "We're gonna be late!" And clearly did not actually care that Buffy was gone until 10.
Yeah, and again, well, I mean, 18, 10, whatever. She can drive. Fuck it. Buffy gets ready for bed, but she has a dream about sleeping in the arms of the vampire man, probably the big bad guy, who, yes, indeed, is Rutger Hauer. Yeah,
there's actually a pretty decent, like, transition here, where she's, like, tying a ribbon in her hair in the dark and walks, and, like, the camera pans around, and she just kind of lays in the arms of Roy Batty.
Yeah, and it's the big vampire mansion, and then she wakes up and is just like, "Ah!" Because obviously, of course you would, because sleeping in the arms of Roy Batty. I don't like Roy Batty's mustache in this movie, Kristen. It's shitty and, like, thin and gross looking.
I was saying to Madeline that the funny thing about the vampire villains in this movie is that they look so much like vampires that, like, that's a aesthetic that eventually gets made fun of on the TV show, where they're like, "Dude, if you're a vampire, how about you don't dress like a vampire so you're so easy to spot?"
They are very vampiric, these people.
Yeah, also the whole look of vampire gets changed, where these guys can't seem to turn off their, like, pointy ears and fangs and stuff, whereas in the TV show, vampires just look like normal-ass people, but then when they, like, smell blood or want to attack someone or whatever, they get, like, a kind of ugly-looking face and fangs.
Huh. I don't know, that's good. Yeah, now they just kind of, we get, I guess, a weird mixture of that, where not everybody's terribly ugly, they just have, again, yeah, the pointy ears, the fangs, and the weird, just general look.
Yeah, I think the whole thing with the TV show is, like, you kill lots of vampires, maybe we should make it so it doesn't look like you're murdering a human being every single time and make them look more like a monster.
So we cut to Pee-wee. He is back at the vampire mansion, talking with the leather jacket girl from before, and I didn't write down any of the dialogue. It is just that Roy Batty floats in at this point with his cape all open, and she just goes, "Are you kidding me?" And that's it.
Yep, I feel that.
We're at the girls' locker room at this point, where it's, Buffy has an exchange with her friends, and then she's just like, "I gotta go to practice," and then Merrick's here, and he's just like, "I'm in the girls' locker room."
Yeah, which is not great. I did see one thing in your notes of you referring to Roy Batty character as the Master, a la Manos Hands of Fate, and I would like to point out the first big bad in season 1 of Buffy is called the Master.
Oh, well, there we go. Wonderful.
Yeah. He's like a Nosferatu-looking, really, really old vampire.
But, yeah, Merrick's here in the girls' locker room, and Buffy's just like, "Oh, God, what are you doing in here?" And Buffy don't want to be the Slayer. She wants to just do normal things, like graduate, and go to Europe, and marry Christian Slater, and die.
Yep, I really like that joke.
Don't marry Christian Slater, though, he's gonna blow up the school with a bomb!
Oh, no!
Also, I read on IMDb, in the trivia section, that Buffy in the TV series accomplishes 3 of those 4 things. All but marrying Christian Slater, I'm assuming.
I don't remember the go to Europe part, but yeah, she dies twice.
Merrick is like, "You know what? Okay, you don't have to be the Slayer. That's okay, but here, let me try this." And he throws a knife at her face, which she catches without, blinking or anything. And she's just like, "You threw a knife at my face." And he's like, "Well, you're the Slayer." And she's like, "You threw a knife at my face."
But you caught it. No, but dude!
No, you don't understand. You threw the knife at my... No, don't worry about it. You're the chosen one.
I don't accept that, but God.
Buffy seems to accept it because she's still just like, "I don't want to be the chosen one." And "You're a scone head" is what she calls him. And I don't know what that means because the scone is delicious.
Yeah, and it's also weird because if Merrick were English, I would kind of get it. And it's weird because in the television series, the Watchers Council is, strictly based in England.
So that's why she calls him Sconehead? Is that why? Because he's supposed to be English, but he's not doing a very good English accent?
No, I don't know, because it would make sense if he were English, and then that would follow canon, but he's clearly not. He's Canadian.
Whatever. So, she also asked Merrick if he knew that she was sitting in a fresh grave and she was going to get attacked. And he was just like, "Yeah, but that was just to prove," and then she punches him in the nose, which probably caves in his fucking skull.
He slides back on the bench he was sitting on, and she was like, "Oh my God, I've never hit someone before?" And he just kind of nods, and he's like, "And you did it perfectly."
So this starts a training montage. Yeah. That's my training montage song. I guess Buffy's into it now. She kind of just... I find it kind of... this is an hour-and-a-half movie, so she needs to come around at some point, but she punches Donald Sutherland in the nose, and then she's just like, "I think I want to be the Slayer now."
Woohoo! She definitely has that moment later where she's like, all of a sudden, there are things that seem a lot more important to me than the things I was worried about before, so I guess just kind of having a shift in priorities is believable.
Yeah, no, that's probably fine. Yeah, so there's just a lot of training. She does some kicks, she hits a heavy bag a few times, she does some more Kimberly from Power Rangers gymnastics, and in this short time, she's good enough to fight because she sweeps Donald Sutherland onto his back.
There is a gag in the musical episode of Buffy where she's doing some training and makes a joke that she hopes that they don't suddenly turn it into an 80s power montage.
Nice.
And her watcher, Giles, says that if they hear any power chords, they could just lay down until they go away.
Wonderful.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, after sweeping Donald Sutherland down onto his back, Buffy's just like, "So hey, what's going on with the head vampire man?" And Donald Sutherland's like, "Oh, it's Lothos. He's fucking whatever. So evil. He's so evil, man." Apparently he's never died from all of the Slayers, right? Or is that is that a reincarnation thing that he gets too a lot? I don't understand what the dynamic is.
Nah, he's probably just really old. You know, most of the, big bad characters from the television series are really old vampires who happen to either, never encounter the Slayer, because there's only one of them, though this guy seems to like seeking them out.
Yeah, that seems to be the case with him. Maybe, they make it seem like Lothos is the reason that all of the Slayers have died.
Yeah, that's probably not true. Considering in the television series, one of the main characters, Spike, is the reason why at least 2 Slayers are also dead.
Huh. Well, there we go. Donald Sutherland asks, "So, when he appears in your dreams, what happens?" And she's just like, "Oh, he scares me." And that's it.
Yeah, he's a vampire.
We cut to the principal's office. The principal is like, "Buffy, something's up with you. And you know what I think it is? It's the drugs. You're getting into the drugs, and I understand. I've been there myself. I was at a Doobie Brothers concert, and I got past the acid, and I could see the music, and whoa, what are we talking about?
And throughout the scene, there is the sound of a fly, and Buffy looks very distracted. So she takes a thumbtack from his jar, and actually just starts to pick at her nails with it, which I relate to, because I'm always picking at my nails with sharp things, which I know is dangerous. And ends up putting it in her mouth and, like, blow darts it at the fly.
Does the principal say anything? Is he just kind of like, I think we're done here? Or, like, any kind of stupid comedy line? Or is it just he looks at it and is just like, uh-huh, and then we cut?
I think he just kind of pauses because he didn't realize what was happening, and then kind of continues on his diatribe.
But we cut to Luke Perry at this point. He is fixing a car. He's getting the fuck out of here. There's crazy vampire shit going down. He needs to get the fuck out of Dodge. And Luke Perry is even like to his mechanic friend, like, hey, have you seen David Arquette around? If you see him, run. And then he drives away.
Because he's a vampire!
We see Buffy walking alone. This is a bit of a drawn-out scene of her just being like, da-da-da-da-da, I'm so helpless here in this alleyway. Hope a vampire doesn't come attack me.
And lo and behold, a vampire comes.
And she makes, pretty short work of him. Merrick was here. I don't know if he was... I mean, he is the Watcher. I don't know if we established that he is the Watcher. He watches and trains and whatever.
The Slayer.
Oh, yes, he watches and trains the Slayer, not just people. Although that would be... He could be like Mr. Miyagi. That would be great.
He's a people watcher.
And he says that, hey, you know what? One vampire is fine, but it's a lot easier to kill one vampire than it is to kill 10. That's an old saying we got in the world of the Watchers and the Slayers. And Buffy's like, yeah, duh.
Yeah, because she was walking, like, down into a dead end, and she used the dead end to trap the vampire. But Merrick's like, if there were more, then you would have been in a lot of trouble. So she was like, oh, whatever. Also, we need to have a conversation about the fact that Buffy's vagina alerts her to vampires.
I mean, we learned earlier that, yes, Buffy starts getting, like, kind of crampy whenever there are vampires around. And Donald Sutherland says it's the alert system. And I don't know if it's specifically menstrual cramps, but it's...
I can feel vampires in my uterus!
I don't think they were that on the nose about it, but that certainly seems to be the implication.
Joe, they were definitely making, veiled allusions to her period as why she was getting crampy. So they're the same types of cramps. I can feel vampires with my uterus.
Jesus.
That does not carry over into the TV show.
I can imagine. That seems like something that was added in just to be like, let's make a joke. Let's make a joke about periods. Buffy at this point as well is like, wait a minute, Donald Sutherland, you haven't done shit to kill these vampires. What's up with that? And here's where he explains that, as the Watcher, I'm here to watch. I gotta prepare the Chosen One, and that's it. I can't interfere even if I want to, even if I think that this woman desperately needs it.
Rude!
He's basically trapped in this shitty life cycle where he can't, die for good until all the vampires are gone. And they have a conversation about it, what are you gonna do when all the vampires are gone? And, Merrick's like, maybe I get to go to heaven. That'd be nice. So, Kristen, how do the Watchers work in the series where it seems like in this one there's also only one Watcher, and he's always born with the knowledge of his previous Watchers, and he can't get a good and satisfying death?
Yeah, in the television series there is the Watchers Council. And that's just a bunch of people who are educated throughout their entire lives in, mysticism and, monsters and demons and vampires and shit. And they get assigned to Slayers at some point or another, so Giles is Buffy's Watcher. And after Buffy dies the first time, there's this weird loophole where a second Slayer gets her powers awakened, and she gets her own Watcher too.
I find it odd that Watchers are assigned Slayers when more often than not it seems like there's only one Slayer.
I guess it's whoever is the most properly prepared at that point, and they keep a log of all of the history of the Slayers and everything, so everyone's kind of primed and they all have to record things. It's very bureaucratic, and eventually in the series they start to break away from that system because it's the Watchers Council tells the Slayer what she can and can't do, and eventually Buffy is like, that's bullshit, I'm stronger than all of you, why should I have to listen to you?
Well, that's fun.
Yep, so then she's in charge.
I mean, it's definitely better suited. A council is better suited for a TV series. I kind of like the way it is here, where it's just like, well, there's always, I'm the only one, and I need to get rid of all the vampires so I can have a nice death.
Yeah, I feel like the simplified version totally works, because then in, like, the TV show, the Watchers Council is also, important for when, like, things within their system start going badly, and they need to be like, well, this Slayer's gone rogue, we need to get rid of her.
Even though Merrick is like, Buffy, you need a shitload of help, Jesus Christ. Buffy's like, well, I got something all those other previous Slayers don't got. I got keen fashion sense.
And Merrick's like, oof, vampires of the world beware.
And Buffy's surprised he can actually make a joke. She's like, oh my god, oh man, you made a joke. Do you want to lie down? I know the first time always hurts.
And in case you were wondering what Luke Perry is up to, great news.
His truck is in bad shape. Vampires are approaching. Pee-wee is approaching from the front. And eventually, he uses the lights of the car to kind of, they kind of make Pee-wee, recoil a bit. Is that something that happens with vampires in the series, Kristen? Does any light fuck them up?
Well, sunlight sets them on fire.
Well, okay, no, that's obvious, yes, but artificial light, then.
No.
Wonderful. So, Pee-wee just felt like recoiling for no reason.
Are you telling me that he's being dramatic? Well.
He gets the truck going. He, runs over, or bumps into the vampires behind him, I guess, by backing up into him, and then drives forward. Pee-wee's hanging on the front of it. He eventually gets on top of the roof, and then,
Ghost ride the whip!
This goes on for, a minute of Pee-wee hanging on top of the van, and he eventually, slams his arm down into the van to try and grab at Luke Perry, but no, he gets a low-hanging branch, just kind of rips him off, and rips off his arm, too.
I don't think that's how arms work, but, okay.
No, I mean, you know what? That's fine. This is also scary enough for Luke Perry to crash the car, and he crashes right into a tree, which sends his guitar flying, and Luke Perry's in rough shape because he hit a tree head-on as he gets out of the car. Pee-wee just approaches, and he's like, you ruined my new jacket! Kill him a lot!
Just as much as you possibly can.
Kill him dead.
Really go buck wild.
We see that a direct shot from the guitar is not enough to even, phase a vampire, but Buffy arrives at this point, too, just out of nowhere. She appears, again, she felt the menstrual cramps and was like, oh, my vampire sense.
They're vampires! Ah, Midal, let's go.
And, she kills the attacking vampires, including breaking the guitar neck and using it as a stake. And Merrick's even like, shit, not bad, good improvisation.
That's a common theme in the television show, definitely, is what's wood that's nearby? Pool cue? I'm gonna break this over my knee.
Does it just have to be, have a sharp edge? Because I know that later she uses, a flagpole, but that doesn't look like it has, a sharpened edge on it.
Yeah, the sharp edge just makes it easier to, push into a vampire's chest.
Of course. Right. Okay. Alright, so it can't just be, it's not like anybody pushes a wood cylinder through a vampire, if they're, unless they're strong enough, I guess.
Nah, it's usually something that's pretty pointy on the end.
Right, okay. So, Luke Perry is brought back to Buffy's house. He had a rough night because he got, car crashed and he had to fight vampires. And they're kind of exchanging pleasantries. Luke Perry talks about how David Arquette's a vampire now, and he's just like, well, I was kind of, I wanted to leave because my friend's a vampire, because the world is a vampire, and then Smashing Pumpkins starts playing because it's the early 90s.
Oh, no.
We see at this point, Buffy's priorities have really changed, because Luke Perry basically asks her about, hey, what do you think about what's going on with the vampires here? And she's just like, well, you know what, 3 weeks ago, I didn't think about much at all, really. I find that there's a lot more important going on in my life.
That's weird. Why does she sound like Joe putting on a weird philosophical affectation to his voice?
Sorry, it's a really good impression, I know.
I know.
There also seems to be a weird, awkward romance brewing between them for no reason. At this point, I don't think they have enough reason to, have a longing stares at one another, or, weird kind of, catching each other's glances and shit.
This movie didn't need a romance subplot. I think Buffy could have very easily broken up with her boyfriend and ended the movie single, and things still would have been nice.
Well, Kristen, it's Hollywood, so there we go. Cause, and yeah, that's the other thing. Buffy already got a boyfriend, even though it's been...
It's Hollywood in the 90s.
Even though it's been weeks since she's seen him. And Luke Perry even says, I know what it's like. Like what?
Whatever, idiot.
Rutger Hauer's here. He is yelling at Pee-wee for being such a fuck-up for losing his arm. You're a million billion years old, but you're acting like a fucking child, you dick.
Dad's mad.
He's mad. That's a pretty good way to put it, is he is mad. He also says that he's going to take a snack with him, and he picks up a cat as he leaves. Good cat. Pee-wee also, as Rutger Hauer is leaving, Pee-wee's just, he bares his teeth and just weird vampire hiss, because he doesn't like being told that his arm sucks.
Well, what arm?
Buffy's back at high school at this point, and she just starts to realize, man, high school's fucking stupid. The girls are more concerned about the fucking jacket that was on the dead girl than the fact that the girl is fucking dead. What the hell, dude?
These characters from this 90s movie.
This dude only cares about working on his abs than going to the memorial service for the girl. Also, he smacks Buffy's ass, and then she hip tosses him.
Yup. Just flips him right over and freaks him out, which is nice and something that Buffy does a lot in the television series.
And even the boyfriend is like, keep your hands off my thang. Like, okay, buddy. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't think that's the correct response in any situation, but especially not after you just saw your girlfriend flip someone over.
The guy's just kind of like, well, come on, Buffy, let's go. And she's like, I can take care of myself. And the friends all are, the guy friends, the friends of Guy here, are all just like, doesn't it feel nice to be loved, to be wanted, to be needed?
Dicks. Everyone's awful.
Oh. But hey, Buffy still cares about cheerleading. She needs to cheer at that game, bro. Merrick is just like, I thought there was more important shit going on, and, well, okay, she does say that if she doesn't go and cheerlead at this thing, then, people are going to start asking questions, which I guess, okay, I can take that. That's fine.
Gotta keep your cover.
Gotta keep your cover, including being a cheerleader.
Yup, the best cover.
So we see at this point the basketball team got a vampire on their team. Oh no, he looks like a vampire, and the coach is just like, hey, where you been? Doesn't matter. You're a basketball player now. Get out on that field. Get out there. Get out there and play the basketball.
It's not a field, Joe. It's a court.
Hey, buddy, score a touchdown for us out there. For me and the entire psychiatric department at the school, please. Well, I mean, Kristen, the coach is quite inept when it comes to basketball, because he does have the point where he's like, okay, I'm going to draw up a play here. Are we the X's or are we the O's? So, he might call the basketball court a field.
That's true. And then it turns into Teen Wolf.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said in my notes here.
Yeah.
He starts just, like, clowning everyone on the basketball court and dunks, like, really, really high. And it's like it's Teen Wolf, except not fun because it's a vampire.
Yeah. And everyone's just kind of freaked out at one point where they're supposed to do, like, jump high, get the ball, whatever that's called. The other guy from the team just kind of hands it to him and says, just take it. Don't come near me.
That's Ben Affleck, Kristen.
Oh, goodness, is it?
Yep, we see him for like 4 seconds as he just kind of hands the ball over to him, and he's just like, you take it, that's okay.
What a cameo.
So everyone's basically, just kind of scared of this vampire guy, and an opposing teammate takes the ball from him, and he gets all like angry-faced, and it looks like he's probably going to go attack him. So Buffy runs out onto the court and trips him, and this doesn't stop the game, I guess, because he runs away at this point, and then she runs after him because he knows who she is, and Merrick's just like, well, fuck, you better go get him. And then we get an odd scene. I'm not sure why this happens. As she's running after the vampire basketball player, there's a biker bar, I guess, very close to the high school.
Yeah, why not? Zoning laws.
So one of them makes a crack about it. Hey, you want some real power between your legs? And she's like, yeah, I do. And she steals a motorcycle, and I just hope she has her Class M license. Well,
she does a pretty good job driving it. I like how in the next scene, as she's driving this motorcycle, she goes past Pike, and as she speeds past him, he's like, oh, it's Buffy!
Yeah, for some reason, wherever Pike is, he's working on a dirt bike with, I guess, the mechanic man from earlier, and coincidence of coincidences, she passes him, and she's like, oh, fuck, I better... And yeah, he can tell that's Buffy, so okay, whatever. So Pike gets on his motorbike and heads after her, and they find themselves at a parade float storage yard.
Awesome.
It's a cool place. I don't understand. This doesn't seem like a real place. I mean, you gotta keep them somewhere, I guess. Out in the open where it can, like, rain on them, though? I don't know.
It's California. It doesn't rain there.
Hey, it's always sunny in California. There we go.
Of course.
Buffy gets cornered, and a bunch of vampires get her. They all, like, grab her. Luke Perry stakes one of them, so that's kill number 1 for Luke Perry, who seems to have an easy time killing a vampire. And so, Kristen, if anybody can kill a vampire, why is there a Slayer? Is she just stronger, or What's going on there?
I guess Luke Perry is just the male version of a Slayer, the Slayo.
Luke Perry, the Vampire Slayo, coming to the WB this fall.
Yep. Awesome.
Pee-wee and Rutger Hauer arrive at this point. He goes over to Buffy, Rutger Hauer does, and goes, "Come into my eyes." Is this the thrall thing happening, I guess, at this... I'm not sure what that means, come into my eyes.
Yep. Basically, as far as I can tell, definitely part of the thrall thing. In season 2 of Buffy, there is a character who, like, it's not common for vampires to have, like, really good thrall powers. And when she uses her thrall, she says, "Be in my eyes."
Okay. So I guess that's the activation code. You know, they flip the switch and then they turn on the hypnotizing power.
I think eye contact is part of it.
So, yeah, Merrick's here too. Luke Perry tries to act all tough in front of Pee-wee, and then he gets his ass tossed aside because Pee-wee's still angry
Did Merrick drive his own motorcycle there?
Merrick just shows up. He can teleport because he's the Watcher. Fuck it.
Yeah, I guess so.
And also, for some reason, just as Lothos is about to bite Buffy, Merrick's just like, "Stop!" And Lothos does, because whatever. And then Merrick, like, takes out a crucifix, and they kind of struggle over it, and Merrick gets stabbed. And I guess, and then they leave, and then there's, Lothos does the classic, like, villain thing of just like, "You're not ready to
They tap dance backwards away.
You're not ready to fight me, goodbye," and then he leaves.
Yep, and, yeah, I guess this is Merrick's reward from interfering when he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, he's still he's gonna be another Watcher, there will be another little Donald Sutherland on the way to either find Buffy when she's older or whatever, or maybe go to heaven when Lothos dies. Who knows? Whatever. Spoiler alert. Rutger Hauer dies because he's the bad guy.
Next time it's Anthony Stewart Head.
You do everything wrong, so do it wrong. And then when the music stops, the rest is... And there we go. R.I.P. Donald Sutherland. Get out of the movie.
Chosen one!
That doesn't mean somebody's dead.
I just went...
So for all we know, Merrick could still be alive, actually.
He goes on to become the president of Pan Am in our dystopian American future.
So Buffy's sad. Oh, Merrick's dead. How sad. Luke Perry's sad. I mean, Luke Perry does owe Merrick, I guess, because he saved his life. And I guess he has a right to be sad because Buffy's sad, and you gotta kind of have that.
It sucks to see somebody stabbed and killed by a vampire.
Kinda, yeah, that seems to be what it boils down to. So now we cut to the friends who are all, it's at the dance committee thing now, they're saying what Buffy did at the basketball game was Mondo Bizarro.
Aren't you so glad people still talk like that? I'm glad that never went away. That's modern and cool.
Buffy arrives, and one of the friends says, I believe Hilary Swank says she's been acting like the thing from another tax bracket.
I don't know what that means.
I'm assuming it means, she says something about the unwashed masses and shit, too. She's just being, like, rich bitch about it, I guess.
That's nice.
They don't like that she's hanging out with Luke Perry because he's a fucking burnout, I guess.
Well, he is kind of boring, so I guess I see their point in that regard.
Buffy is just like, fucking cut me some slack, I gotta try to explain what's going on here, like what happened with Merrick. There was this old guy that I was seeing, and they're immediately like, oh, an affair, ew!
Yeah, you were having sex with a 50-year-old dude? What?
No, damn it. No, I was hanging, and Luke Perry was there too, and like, you're having sex with Luke Perry? Ew!
He doesn't look like he's 50.
They're shitting on her for missing cheerleading, for missing dance committee. I mean, shit, bro, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that important. And then Hilary Swank, I believe, is just like, get out of my facial.
Whatever that means. And then all of the rest of her friends get up and walk away too.
High school ain't that important, that's, here's what we call this the lowest point of the characters. As she's walking the streets, there's like sad music playing in the background. Luke Perry rides up on his motor. Everybody can find everybody in this movie. I mean, Southern California must be very small, Kristen.
Incredibly small.
And he's like, sup, so, where have you been for the past few days? Merrick's dead, right? I thought we were gonna, kill vampires and stuff. And she's like, I'm gonna buy a dress for the dance. And he's kind of in the same boat that she is, basically, where he's like, well, wait, I thought there were more important things, like vampires murdering everyone?
And Buffy is like, I just want to go to a dance. Just want to be normal. Just go dance.
And Luke Perry's like, is this what Merrick would have done? What a guilt.
And he was such good buds with Merrick.
Buffy clearly blames herself for Merrick's death, which, she's basically like, I wasn't powerful enough to do anything against Head Vampire Man. What could I have done?
And David Arquette was there.
Yeah, Luke Perry is pissed that she wants to shop and leaves. David Arquette is in a photo booth for some reason, and he comes out and he's like, "Oh, look what news I have!" Ooh. I put my hand in front of my mouth when I was laughing. I don't know if that came across on the microphone.
Buffy. I can imagine it from your cadence.
Pee-wee tells Rutger Hauer about Buffy, and Rutger Hauer's like, "Oh shit! Get my best suit. It's time to go to this dance." And Pee-wee's like, "Well, wait a minute. Why are you doing the villain thing where we're giving her time? We can attack her when she's, like, out and about like this and just end it." And Rutger Hauer's like, "I want to dance, Pee-wee."
I'm putting on my dancing shoes. Tears in the rain.
Brand new dance smash from Roy Batty, Tears in the Rain, to be played for all the cool and funky vampires at the vampire dance.
Ba, 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 tears in the rain.
I believe there's a song at this point that's playing, I think, because I remember there's silent shots of Luke Perry fashioning a bunch of shit into stakes, and Buffy looking for a dress, and Luke Perry shaving his sideburns, and it must have been pretty short, because that's all that I got from that, because now it's time for the dance.
Yeah, there's preparations going on of all kinds.
The banner says, "Hug the world," so that's what they went with rather than "Don't tread on me." They went, hug the world, lay down on the ground, and wrap your arms around the world.
Yay!
The song that they were playing in the background at this dance, Kristen, is exactly the sort of techno song that Strong Bad would go on to describe in the email techno, especially with the sci-fi line of "the human mind" repeated over and over in the song.
Awesome. The system is down.
So there we go. There's that one. Check that on your box for those of you playing Can We Talk About Bingo at home for Homestar Runner reference. I'm sure you're doing this entire one counts as a Buffy reference. I'm pretty sure we referenced TV tropes. Hunger Games was referenced. We're hitting all the high notes.
I've said blank doesn't work that way.
I wrote in my notes, but I don't think I said it, of referring to Roy Batty as Vampire Min instead of just, Head Vampire or anything, which in itself is a reference to Homestar, I'm fairly certain. So Buffy arrives at the dance. She goes over to the guy that she hip-tossed earlier and is looking for boyfriend Jeff. And
is that what his name is?
That is indeed what his name is, Kristen. I guess it must be, because I think...
Wow, okay, great.
Fuck it, whatever. But the guy is like, "You're not gonna hurt me if I say no, right?" And then doesn't know. She goes over to her friends, and it's just like, "Do you know where boyfriend Jeff is?" And they're all like, and that's how they laugh, because they're trying to stifle their laughter.
Yeah, that's what girls sound like. Good job.
Boyfriend Jeff brought friend curly hair, whose name the one who's not Hilary Swank or the one with the bob, to the dance, because it's been like 3 weeks or so without any sort of contact between them or anything, and Buffy doesn't know what the hell's going on, and boyfriend Jeff is like, "Didn't you get my message?"
This is predating text message breakup.
Yeah, boyfriend Jeff broke up with her machine, so now Buffy kind of walks away. It's like a slow jam starts. She's leaning against the cardboard like palm tree thing. It's raining on prom nights, blaring loudly as she's just kind of like, oh, lowest point, oh.
This jungle sucks.
Luke Perry arrives too in his leather jacket that he has, and he kind of like sneaks up on her. Does he do like the tap her shoulder thing and then kind of goes like the other direction thing?
Buffy did a senior prom episode in season 3.
Really? Was it as good as this senior prom, Kristen, as the Enchantment All Up on the Moon dance that we have going on here?
It was much better.
So, Luke Perry's just like, "So you seem to be having a swell time over here as a queen of the cardboard jungle, but, I kind of want to see if I can get a dance from you. You're going to kick my ass if I ask for a dance?" And she goes, "Maybe."
Yes. And then she flips him, and that's the dance.
There's a brand new dance move called Everybody's Doing the Flip.
Yep. And you kill your boyfriend.
So they get close and they're dancing a little bit, and Luke Perry's just like, "Buffy, you're not like most girls." And Buffy's like, "I am, though. I am like most girls. I mean, most girls aren't vampire slayers, but okay."
And if you want to be, like, super technical about it, then sure. Don't tell girls they're not like most girls. I feel like I don't need to tell you that, Joe.
What does that mean? Am I an eel? What the fuck are you talking about?
If you find a girl that responds positively to that, then she has a weird perspective on life.
The DJ switches to a metal song at this point, and that is probably the cue for the vampires to crash the party. They're breaking in through the windows and stuff, and then Buffy's immediately like, aha, get away from the door, because they can't come in unless they're invited. And here's, I think, my favorite joke of the movie, Kristen, where it all comes back, because Hilary Swank is just like, but they were invited! They're seniors!
Yeah, it's pretty hysterical, honestly.
The vampires don't feel like they want to come in, though, because they're just like, hey, send Buffy out here, and we won't attack anybody. It'll be just send her out here, we'll kick her ass, and you guys can have your party, and we'll pay for the broken windows.
Yeah. Dicks.
Luckily, Luke Perry he came prepared. He brought the stakes and shit with him. He also hands over his leather jacket to Buffy, so she spends the rest of the movie at this point in, like, a prom dress and a leather jacket, and it's pretty cool, I gotta say.
Yeah, she rips off the bottom of her dress, which, as she was getting ready to fight, I was like, please rip your dress, it'll look so cool, and it did.
And it does look so cool, you're right. So, she heads outside, and someone was turning on the fucking fog machine, because there's a lot of, like, dry ice fog, like at about ankle level on the ground here as she's fighting these vampires. And all of these vampires seem to have went to the Bruce Lee school of attacking somebody one at a time, because there's like 8 vampires, and they don't all like dogpile on her. They just go, one comes in, gets kicked, another comes in, gets like punched. She does some gymnastics to run away.
They know it makes a good movie.
It's like it was choreographed or something.
Almost. God, who knows? And maybe there's like, it almost looks like there's a stunt double. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Some vampires are still trying to get into the dance, and they're being, like, hit by cardboard and stuff to get them away. I don't remember what happens at this point, because my next note is just Pee-wee jumps in through a window and starts attacking her, so Buffy got away, I guess, from the vampires, or killed all of them. Oh no, she runs past the car with boyfriend Jeff and the girl in it as well that he was going with, the friend who's not Hilary Swank or the one with the bob, and just kind of makes, like, an face as she sees that they're, like, sexing on each other.
Ew. Yeah, she ends up back in, like, a different part of the school. And Pee-wee jumps through the window, and she tries to find a good door to go through.
And for some reason, she goes through some locked doors, and then, she tries some locked doors, and then goes through a door, and Pee-wee, for some reason, is like, well, let's see what's behind door number 3.
God, Paul Rubens, stop it!
The vampires are still attacking at the dance. A lot of them are inside now. There's a lot of screaming. David Arquette gets his hands on Luke Perry, and he goes back into his, man, these sheeple, you gotta fuck, oh man, I'm so fucking enlightened since I'm a vampire now, man.
I loved you, man. I mean, God, these people, ugh.
I was gonna have sex with you. You wanna have sex with me? Do
you wanna spend the rest of our lives together?
We cut back to Buffy. Pee-wee is basically saying that, you can't stand against Rutger Hauer, man. What do you got? What do you got? You're shit. And they're fighting, and he's even, like, he's talking big, boasting, being like, we're immortal, we can do anything, as she, like, gets him up against the wall, and Buffy then goes, oh yeah? Well, how about you clap?
Yeah.
And then we see Rutger Hauer, he's playing the violin, and Pee-wee's like, oh man, my dude is here. And they kind of exchange glances, and Rutger Hauer kind of, like, shakes his head no slowly, and Pee-wee's like, oh no. And Buffy just kind of stakes him.
Yup.
So Pee-wee gets the stake through his heart then, and Kristen, would you believe me if I said Paul Rubens improvised his death scene? That didn't sound sincere at all.
It's so bad.
He does, it's one of those long drawn out, like, oh, I'm dead. Oh no. I'm not dead. A lot of struggling and, like, making moany noises, and then he kicks the wall a few times, then he falls over.
It's so stupid, and they feel the need to show us it again later! As if that was the big laugh of the movie!
I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was okay. I liked it.
Oh, I hated it.
Rutger Hauer's like, so how'd it feel? How'd it feel killing? It's intimate, isn't it? It's my gift. That's my gift for you, Buffy. You, the vampire slayer. For some reason, I feel the need that I need to give you a gift of killing Pee-wee Herman. I don't know why that he's like this, that he...
He says it's her first kill.
Her first, like, big kill.
So, like, what, the other ones didn't count? She wasn't in danger then?
Well, they're vampires that have been alive for, like, 18 hours, probably. mostly.
Whatever.
We get back to Luke Perry, who is still fighting with David Arquette, and for some reason he asks David Arquette, like, so where's Buffy? And it's just like, oh man, she's with the Master because the Master wants her, and Uncle Sam wants you, and I don't know what that's about, but then he gets holy water in his face, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Jackass.
Like, his face gets all, like, burned and shit, and we don't see him, unless alcohol is bad for vampires, Kristen.
Nah, just the holy water burns them. Just depending on how much they get thrown at them, it could kill them. I have nothing else to say, really.
So a vampire DJ takes over for the normal DJ, and then David Arquette gets thrown into an electrical box, which brings everything to silence. When the music stops, the rest is silence. Kristen, I don't get it.
I think the music was part of his thrall.
Oh, was there music when he was using the thrall last time, though?
Yeah, there was like a carnival sort of music.
Okay. All right, no, okay, okay. All right, so that makes more sense. All right, I didn't notice. So there we go, me just not paying attention. Very good. So yeah, Buffy at this point is just kind of like, oh, I get it now. You don't have power over me. And she's like turned away from him, and Lothos is just kind of like, can you stay still? Can you like look at me? Look at me so I can like use my vampire power on you and I can bite you, please.
She stands up and is kind of like talking out loud to herself about Merrick's last words as he's like hovering behind her like, hey, hey, hey.
He says that they're joined, and I don't know, I feel like he's trying to show that there's a deeper connection, but maybe it's because of his history with Slayers and shit that he's saying all this, but he's trying to make it seem like this is important when I don't think it's actually as important as he thinks.
Yeah, basically. It's just, no, I'm a powerful vampire, let me kill you, bullshit.
Yeah. She tries to use the crucifix against him, and he's just like, are you fucking kidding me? That's not gonna stop me. So he grabs it too, and it catches fire. And here's where, I don't know where Buffy was hiding this, but she was taking a page from the book of Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake and uses an aerosol flamethrower, which actually doesn't really do much to Lothos. And here's where she brings back the line about keen fashion sense as well. So the hairspray came through for her here, even though all it really did was distract him.
Yeah, but it was enough for her to get out of there. And his face gets a little bit melty, but it's fine later. And we go back up to the gym, and one of my favorite gags in the movie is the principal given detention slips to a bunch of dead bodies.
Yeah, I wonder if part of that was improvised too, because I just like how he's walking along detention. Is that it? Nope, one more. Detention. And detention. All right, very good.
Just throwing slips of papers onto the bodies on the floor.
But yep, Buffy's back at the prom now, and Hilary Swank screams like, "Oh, they're gonna kill us!" But no, it's like, no, it's okay. All the vampires are. I don't know. First of all, I don't know what Buffy was trying to do, leading him back here, unless she thought that the flamethrower was enough for. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it has to end here, but I don't get it.
I guess there's maybe a little bit more space for fighting instead of some cramped quarters.
Maybe, yeah, because Rutger Hauer turns into the Kool-Aid Man and bursts through the wall of the gym.
Oh, yeah.
Tears in the rain.
You know what? He did Kool-Aid Man a lot in Blade Runner, too.
Rutger Hauer, character trademark, bursting through walls. He draws his sword at this point, and I don't know what the fuck he's doing here, where he's just like, you are my destiny. I could never hurt you. And then he throws her into a table.
Yep. There you go. And she grabs a flagpole, and more fight starts.
But Buffy, you're a cheerleader. You're not a member of the Flag Squad.
It's a weapon. She can't kill a vampire with pom-poms, Joe.
That's true. You're right. Also, am I wrong in remembering that Rutger Hauer's sword doesn't cut through the flagpole when he like slashes down at it?
I don't remember.
It cuts through a chair later, but it can't cut through this flagpole.
Vampires are very good with swords, little known fact.
Luke Perry jumps on his back at one point, doesn't really do anything. She sees a stake on the floor, which gets kicked away, so she decides to go all WWF and picks up a chair that gets slashed. And then, one of the cut pieces of the leg of the chair becomes a makeshift stake, and she drives it through his heart, and then he's just like, alright, okay, lady, now I'm really pissed. And then she fucking spin kicks it deeper into his heart.
Yup, that is a thing that happened a few times in the TV show, like, your skin's pretty tough, actually, so let's just hit that in a little bit deeper.
Spin kick. And so this is where, yes, I was like, so he's dead? I think he must be dead at this point, I guess, even though the bodies don't disappear or anything, which, again, like you said, Kristen, would have been great to give some kind of visual cue, because as an undead, he could probably just kind of stand back up and be like, woo! Man, that is a rough one. I think... My heart's on the other side of my body, by the way. I have Southern disease.
Yeah, nothing's stopping him from getting up and being like, no, I'm still good.
Luke Perry's not really in good shape either, but he's not dead, but still roughed up. He does say, I can't move my legs. Oh no, why? Because you're sitting on them.
Oh my god. The senior dance.
And then they dance. And neither of them wanted to lead.
To no music.
To no music. Yeah, that's the thing. It's Luke.
It's much more awkward than it is cute.
Luke Perry goes, so you want to lead? And Buffy goes, nope. And Luke Perry goes, neither do I. This is a good thing. And then the ending song starts.
They're equal.
And Buffy gets on Luke Perry's motorcycle, and here's the first time I wrote, the end! Oh, but it's not the end, because they have people being interviewed about the attack on the school.
Yep.
Where somebody likens the vampires to young Republicans, or assumed that they were young Republicans. Because, again... do they come right out and say that it was a vampire attack, or just that there was a big old bloodbath?
Yeah, just that a bunch of bad stuff happened and it was ugly, scary monsters.
Also, the principal having another great line here where he's just like, you know what? I've been there. I saw a lot of action in Nam. Well, I saw Platoon.
Great guy.
And that the students learned a valuable lesson about safety. Except the dead ones.
Now the end!
Oh no, Pee-wee's still dying.
God damn it! Now the end!
So that was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Kristen, as someone who has watched the series, how did you feel about this movie?
Well, drunk Joe. I liked it.
Because that's the thing. It seems as though, from my understanding, a lot of Buffy fans like to rake this movie over the coals, including, as we said earlier, Joss Whedon himself not really wanting to consider this part of the official canon, but as its own kind of standalone thing, because his vision was, fucked.
I think people like complaining.
You know what, Kristen? In the age of the internet, I believe that's correct.
Yeah, so, I had, I guess, lower expectations going in, which maybe helped me like it more than I expected to, but that doesn't mean I didn't like it. Not something I would watch too much. I'm still a very big fan of the television series, so I would go back to that sooner than this, but I'm kind of interested in watching a little bit of season 1 and seeing how much of callbacking they actually do.
Yeah, hey, just what they take from it. I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. I thought it was a fun movie, a good early 90s... No, again, this isn't our first 90s movie. We did do Face Off. So, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
All right, good. As a good early 90s entry, I think, it showed all of the terrible fashions and things, all the terrible neon, oh my god.
It was awesome.
One thing I wanted to note about the credits is Buffy's mom gets her own credit at the beginning, and I don't know if that's... Like, it's not one of those things where I don't think she died, so I'm not...
Yeah, Madeline and I looked her up and could not figure out why she got singled out.
So yeah, I don't know, that was weird. I just wanted to point that out, though, but, I like it...
No, in our research, we couldn't figure anything out either.
So she's not... So you did research, because that's the thing, I didn't go to her IMDb or anything, so I don't think she died.
Madeline didn't say anything, she was the one that looked it up, so, our CWTA correspondent, Schmadeline, could not turn anything up.
Wonderful. All right. Well, yeah, I thought it was a fun movie. I think it's, give it a watch if you haven't seen the series, because if you haven't seen the series, you'll like it, because it's not one of those things where you need to see the series given that it predates it by 5 years.
Oh yeah, it's definitely totally fine as a standalone, so if you don't think you want to bridge the 7 seasons of Buffy, this is a good place to start.
Yeah. So now's the point in the evening where we list off all of the fun contact things where you can reach us. You can follow us on the Twitter machine at CWTApod. You can follow me at Octopus, that's AWKTAPUS.
You can follow me at FunnyGirlTM, like trademark. Feel free to chat me up about Buffy. I know a lot.
You can find us on the iTunes, on the SoundCloud, on the Stitcher Radio. Leave a rating, give a review, do whatever you feel like. You can also reach us, send us a line, cwtapod@gmail.com, where you can tell us all about your memories of former WCW World Champion David Arquette, or if you happen to be one of the Buffy fans who hates this movie.
Yeah, sure. Either or. We're not picky.
Next week, Kristen, after a long absence, we are finally back to the bread and butter of this podcast. We are starting...
Oh god, I'm so excited to not do movies anymore.
We are starting Season 2 of Gem. And to commemorate this occasion, Kristen, we will be doing the first 2 episodes as one mega episode. It will be the Talent Search Parts 1 and 2 as one whole thing. We are going to get an introduction of 2 new important characters, one of which plays a saxophone. God damn it.
Get ready for our Jenna impressions.
And we will be bringing it to you here for your listening pleasure next week. So, for the Can't We Talk About podcast, my name is Joe.
I'm Kristen.
And join us next week for our wonderful return to Gem and the Holograms.
Checks in the mail.